Hello, and welcome to round two. I'm hoping that I go live because the last time a few minutes ago it did not work. Oh, yay! I think it's actually working now. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Embracing Your Essence on Lilydale Radio. I was trying to go live and it wasn't working, so I had to start all over. So here we are. As you are joining in, please do say hello. And as I said, this is Embracing Your Essence on Lilydale Radio. And I am Colleen Vanderzijden, a registered medium here at Lilydale Assembly. I'm also a certified empowerment coach and the author of this book, Courageously You, Magical Mind Games to Get Unstuck and Reignite Your Joy. Hi, Edie. Thanks for joining me. And I said a little bit earlier that I was live previously, but tech, it wasn't working. I was just talking to myself here. So I had to restart. So I'm glad you're here. And as you are joining in, please do say hello. Tonight we are going to have some fun. We are going to talk about a few more strategies, a couple more strategies to help you live from your power. We're also going to talk about some ideas that will help you strengthen that power, handle your challenges, accelerate your spiritual growth. And we, of course, are going to do, because you know me, we are going to do some questions. If you have questions, we can talk about those, get some personal and spiritual guidance for you. I will also do some mini soul readings and all of that. But first, I will talk about some things to get into our power and all of those things. Hi, Jade. Hi, Martin and Hillary. Nice to see you all. Thank you again for joining me. Particularly after my tech issue, I'm a little relieved that it's actually working. So thanks for being here. I do want to mention at the top of this page, I have a new free gift for you. It's an ebook called Soul Intentions, Empowering Intentions to Help You Trust Your Soul. It's just a short little ebook, probably, I don't know how many pages, 10 maybe, 5, I don't know. Somebody can tell me later. But anyway, the link is up there right at the top. I'll mention it again later. And I'm just going to say hello to people as we are here. Hi, Lori Lynn. Nice to see you again. Hi, Anne and Evelyn. Hi, Jeannie. Yay. So glad you're here with me today. So what else do I need to tell you? Oh, I forgot the details of Soul, or not the websites. I forgot the websites. LilydaleAssembly.org, official website. Lilydale Assembly Incorporated on Facebook. My Facebook page, Colleen Vanderzijden, Medium and Empowerment Coach. And my website, ColleenVanderzijden.com or BeCourageouslyYou.com. I have so many domain names. It's so much fun. Hi, Sherry and Alyssa and Ella. Hi, Jan. Yay. Okay. So tonight, let me just recap. And if you're going to have questions or anything like that, you do want to be on my page, Colleen Vanderzijden, Medium and Empowerment Coach. So what we're going to talk about tonight is we're going to talk about some ideas to help you strengthen your power, live in your truth, handle your problems, accelerate your spiritual growth. And because all of this is so you can live with more peace and joy. That's where we're heading. We want you to live with more peace and joy, right? Don't we all want that? I think we do. Hi, Ashley. And so we're going to talk about that. And I will also answer your questions, personal intuitive guidance, soul readings, those things, etc. Do not ask the questions just yet because I do want to chat a little bit and give you some information. I want to talk a bit about living from the truth of your soul. And you might remember last week I talked about how my passion is to help people see that they have the power to change their lives, right? So important. This doesn't mean we're not going to have problems, but when we're in our power, in our truth, we handle life differently. It's just different. We're more aware of our responses, our thoughts, our beliefs, our choices. And when we're more intentional about how we respond to life, we do bring more peace and joy to us. So when you're living as your true self, your soul, you are spiritually empowered. And you might remember or know that your soul is connected to the divine, universal, infinite energy, which is who you are, right? So you are infinite, you are limitless, you are powerful because you are automatically connected to this energy. And it can sometimes feel like we are not connected, like we are limited or that we are powerless. So sometimes it can be hard for us to recognize that how amazing we are, right? We talked about that a lot last week, right? We can sometimes struggle recognizing how amazing we are and that we are capable of living a limitless, powerful life. And the reason it's a little bit hard for us is that life has a way of piling stuff on us, doesn't it? I mean, so much stuff. We have all these problems, these issues, uncertainty, fear of the unknown, all that stuff. And so many people right now are feeling tired and overwhelmed. We just feel overwhelmed. We're tired. And sometimes we think we're stuck, and when we feel like we're stuck, we don't know what's next, right? We can't figure out a way forward. when we're stuck, we don't know what to do. We can feel hopeless and helpless. And because we can't see a way out, we don't know our next steps. And it might feel like it's impossible to make a change or feel better. And what happens is we end up getting stuck in this story. We repeat the story to ourselves about how we are not good enough, that life is too hard and it can't be changed. Do you ever feel like that? I know I have gone through some of those moments where I think sometimes, I don't know what to do. It's not working. Nothing's working. And then you know how it goes in our heads, right? We repeat that story. Have you ever done anything like that, right? What happens is when we start moving into that more negative perspective, we end up settling for a life that's okay. It's just okay, right? It's not great. It's not bad, but it's just okay. And part of it is because it feels safer. We don't want to take a risk to make a change. It's hard to go in a new direction. We have lots of reasons why we don't do things, right? And it's hard to let go of our blocks. So then we don't seem to move into that really amazing life we can have. But in the truth of our soul, we will find a way to move forward. And when we do this, we become courageous and we become willing to prioritize wanting and having an even better life. And that's where we're going to find more peace, more joy, and more fun. So we're going to talk about how to reframe how you're looking at yourself and your challenges. That's a very powerful thing to do. When you can reframe how you're looking at life for yourself, you are in your power. So we're going to do this. And then this will help you make empowered choices as you move forward. And these choices will be backed up by your soul and your divine universal energy. And so if you're just joining in, I'm Colleen Vanderzijden. I am the host of this show, Lily Dale registered medium, spiritual teacher, et cetera, et cetera. And we are talking tonight about being in your power. And then I will, after I finish chatting about this, we will do some questions. If you have questions about your life, you're looking for spiritual guidance, intuitive guidance, not necessarily psychic, what's going to happen. That's a little different because, well, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent here, but lots of times when we want psychic answers, like what's going to happen, we're actually giving our power away because we're looking for an answer rather than looking within to kind of follow our own path. You know, if only that the idea is if only somebody would tell me what to do, I'll feel better, right? You know what I'm talking about. And so sometimes I do give intuitive premonitions and stuff. If it comes in my head, I'll tell you. But I'm really more about being in our power and creating our own life, right? So we're going to talk about that. And I do want to mention again, make sure you're on my page. So when we do go to the questions and intuitive guidance, you're here ready to go. So my page, Colleen Vanderzijden, medium and empowerment coach. Now, I do want to mention before I get to these quick ideas that I want to share with you that I'm thinking about and I'm planning, I think I'm really going to do it, to do a class on Manifest an Amazing 2026. Just a short hour-long class. You'll have a little workbook to fill out to help you get more clarity on what kind of life you want to have in 2026. What are your goals? What are your dreams? How do you want to feel? You know, and with all the energy we have going on around us now, a lot of us are feeling a little overwhelmed. And so this will help people get some clarity on how they want to move forward. So if you think you might be interested in this class, just write in the comments. You're interested in having an amazing life in 2026, and I'll give you the information once it's ready. It's going to be really cheap, like $17 or something, and it will come with a workbook and meditation, and we'll do some teaching, and you can be live or you can just listen to the recording later, whatever you want to do. So anyway, let me know if you'd be interested in something like that. Okay, now, last week we talked about the key principles to help you be your true self and live as your soul. And these, I call them foundational ideas. These are the basis for you to reclaim your power of your true self and start living the life you want and deserve. Okay. The first idea, and I'm just going to recap slightly what we talked about last week in case you weren't there. If you do want to watch the whole beginning part of last week's show, you can find it on my Facebook page. You can find it on my website, ColleenVanderzijden.com, my YouTube channel, Colleen Vanderzijden. You can find it on Lily Dale's page. It's everywhere. So anyway, okay, good. I'm glad. Yeah, it's going to be fun talking about what we're going to do in 2026, right? We got to have a plan. We can't just go into it and hope everything's going to work out. Let's use our power and create the amazing life we want to have in 2026. So if you are interested, just write in the comments like these people are. That way I'll be sure to give you the information. It's going to be so inexpensive. It'll be 2 weeks from tonight, actually. So the first idea that we talked about last week is you are more powerful than you think you are. I'm so excited. I'm talking too fast. You are more powerful than you think you are. When you listen to your soul, your inner guidance, you become courageous. You live in your truth. You create the life you want. We also talked about the inner rebel, the part of us that is the independent rule breaker who decides, I'm no longer going to follow somebody else's rules just because they set them. We want to follow our own rules. We want to live the life we want. That inner rebel is the powerful part of us that says, no, not doing that. Or yes, I am doing that. Or the one that stands up for our truth and says, this doesn't feel right, not doing it. Okay, we talked about that. The next thing we talked about, are you willing to connect with your power? Everybody says they are, but if it involves a little bit of work, sometimes people are like, no, I don't want to do that. But are you willing to prioritize yourself and your desire for an even better life? Are you willing to let go of settling and creating an amazing life? You can do it. Are you willing to look at yourself differently? Are you willing to let go of the beliefs and blocks that stop you from creating your amazing life? Without being willing, nothing changes, right? Ella says, I want nothing but truth and honesty. I've been rough of the rough. All I ask for is honesty, right? This is what we want. We want to be honest. We want to be honest with ourselves. We want to be honest with other people. The other thing we talked about is you have the power of choice. You always have a choice. When you're in your power, you don't blame others or a situation for how you feel. Now, I am going to give you a caveat on that, of course. If you have a big disappointment, a loss, of course you're going to experience emotions, and you're supposed to experience emotions. That's why we live, right? So we can have our emotions. The problem comes when we get stuck there. Okay, we get stuck in our emotions and we can't move forward. So what we want to do when we're in our power, we take action rather than complaining, right? We take action. We decide how we're going to live and make choices that will help us get there. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? You guys are like, oh, yes, I want this. Yes, it's amazing. But how do I get there? So I will tell you some ideas, right? So here's the thing. When you feel helpless, powerless, confused, directionless, we have forgotten we have the power of choice, right? When you feel that, think about it. Like the last time you felt directionless, you didn't know what to do next. You felt powerless. What was going on in your head? We're like stuck up here, right? We're telling ourselves some kind of story and we're stuck there. And then we don't realize we can make one simple small change and go in a new direction. So we use a choice to get where we want to go. Life's programming has emphasized who you should be and how you should live. This comes from society, culture, media, whether directly or indirectly. Really, it's been kind of imposed upon us. It's not our fault. We've done nothing wrong, but it's like we soaked up this idea of who we should be and how we should live. And this programming, unfortunately, frequently makes us feel limited and not good enough. Right? Again, not your fault. You're not doing anything wrong. This stuff is like banged into your head, and you probably don't even know it's there most of the time. So without awareness, we've actually given our power away to this idea of how we should live and who we should be, which, as you can imagine, disconnects us from our truth. It disconnects us from our power. It disconnects us from knowing what is right for us. We forget to check in with ourselves and understand what is true for us, what we want out of life. Because if you know what you want, how you want to live, who you want to be, you're in your power, and you listen to your true self, and you meet your needs rather than trying to fit in and belong or get other people's approval. Okay? These 3 ideas are the foundation to being spiritually empowered, to living life on your terms. When I first started using the phrase living life on your terms, it felt really big to me because throughout my whole life, I've been a people pleaser. It is ingrained in me, has been ingrained in me from the beginning of time, apparently, to always make sure everybody else is doing okay. and put my own needs over here. It's been ingrained in me to try to get other people's approval. And when we start recognizing that this is what's happening, then we can get back in our power and not be stuck in that energy. We have that power to have a different life. So to strengthen your power, handle your problems, accelerate your spiritual growth, it all begins with self-awareness. It begins with us checking in with ourselves, discover what our truth really is. So what we want to do is question our thoughts and our beliefs. Are they true? We might think they're true because we've always thought they were true. But have we really thought about them and go, wait a minute, does this even make sense to me anymore? Does this even feel right to me anymore? We want to ask these questions. And then as we start to do this, we might discover that so much of what we believe is rooted in our programming or maybe experiences we had as a child. I remember, and I tell the story in my book, Courageously You, I remember in 6th grade, I went to do church school because we grew up Catholic, and so we had to go to church school. And I remember the teacher saying we shouldn't be proud of ourselves. And this apparently had a great impact on my self-belief because it wasn't until years later that I realized so much of my self-criticism came from this idea I shouldn't acknowledge the goodness within me. I shouldn't acknowledge my successes. I shouldn't acknowledge when I do something well or right because she had said that. We shouldn't be proud of ourselves. I recognize as an adult what she meant was don't be a smug jerk about yourself, right? Don't be like, ooh, I'm all that and more. But what happens is something may happen, a belief might happen, and we don't recognize where our brain is going and what's happening with this. As a violinist, many of you know I'm a professional violinist. I've been playing the violin forever, it seems. And for I don't know how many years, maybe from the beginning of my practicing until 20 years into my playing, I literally used to count all my mistakes when I was playing, right? So I had learned very early on, rather than being proud of myself, I needed to criticize myself. I needed to count all the things I did wrong. As you can imagine, that's not great. Not a good thing to do. And so that's just an example of how we want to start questioning the beliefs. Like, are these true? And when we start to see that these beliefs come from programming or harmful or limiting or disempowering, we can change it. Karen says, I've been a people pleaser all my life. I'm finally working on putting myself first and not feeling selfish or wrong. So important, because really what I'm talking about is when we're in our power, we are prioritizing ourselves. And again, this does not mean we are egotistical, all about me, I'm all that and more. It means we're protecting our energy. It means we're making deliberate choices. It means we're creating the life we want to have rather than just floundering through life or trying to meet other people's expectations. Ella, my young son has a violin, but no one to teach him. Oh my goodness me. There's got to be somebody in the area. It's very hard to learn on your own. That I can tell you, having taught the violin for many, many years. But yes, so hopefully there is. You'll have to let me know where you are, and maybe I have a friend. So what happens here is when we become self-aware, we want to become curious and objective. Okay, what this means, curious. We want to know what's going on. Why are we thinking the way we're thinking? Objective means we're not all caught up emotionally, going, oh, yes, you are stupid or whatever, and doing that self-judgment thing, right? The goal is to learn more about ourselves and then use the information so we can make intentional decisions about who we are and who we want to be and how we want to live. Okay, this is why I do my Courageously You coaching program that starts in January to help people see themselves differently, help them reclaim their power so they can live intentionally to have more peace and joy. I still have a few seats in that, by the way. Excuse me. Interesting. I wonder if I've got somebody who wants to talk. I do have some seats for that, and I extended the early bird pricing through tomorrow because we got inundated with emails over the weekend for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and whoo! So if you're interested, you can check it out on my website, ColleenVanderzijden.com. So as we go on an adventure of self-discovery, our doubts and fears will surface. It's just the way it is. Our inner critic will try to talk us out of making changes because it's too risky, in quotes, or others won't like it, or you can't do it, so why try? When these doubts surface, we have the choice to not feed the inner critic, right? To not let it stop us from going in a new direction. The louder your inner critic gets, the more likely it is that you are going exactly where you need to be, because now your inner critic's like, I've got to stop her before she makes a mistake. Don't do it that way, right? Don't listen to the inner critic. When the inner critic gets louder, we hesitate to take action. That's the time to be courageous. Face the fear and go do it anyway. Are you willing to have a better life? Do you want a better life? You're going to have to step into some fear to get there. And I can tell you the rewards are amazing. So we don't want to get stuck in the fear and the doubts. We want to step back and be objective. We want to look at the facts, not the fiction of a story. Okay, not the fiction of a story. I have a magical mind game in my book, Courageously You, called Facts versus Fiction, where you go, these are the facts, this is the story, this is the fiction. A story is wrapped up in emotion with perceived meaning. Has some meaning in it, right? Something has happened. We're upset because it means something about ourselves. So a simple example I use all the time, because I think we've probably all experienced this and we will understand it, and it perfectly illustrates the idea of what a story is. We're walking down the hall at work, wherever, and as we're down at the end of the hall, we see two people talking, and as we get closer, they stop talking. What happens, right, in our heads? First thing, they're talking about me. I wonder why they're talking about me. What are they saying? Do they like me? Do they not like me? Da, 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 da. That's the story. That is fiction. That is a meaning we've given based on our own fears and self-doubts. Okay, that's the story. But what you want to do is, what are the facts? The facts are, you're walking down the hall, two people are talking, and they stopped talking when you got close. You have no idea why they stopped talking. The facts are they stopped talking. See, two different things. They've stopped talking. We make it about us, but it may have nothing to do for us at all. Nothing at all. I'm looking at Kate's comment. I just have to see this. My fiance and I work for the same company and found out they're going out of business. We don't have a date yet, but I'm not so concerned with me finding a new job, but he is so stuck. He doesn't believe in himself or trust that he can find another job career. I wish I could get him to understand, see, and feel everything you're saying. Kate, this is going to be the perfect time for you to model what I'm saying. To model it. We are going to trust that an opportunity is going to come, and I can tell you one will. We are going to trust it. We are going to do what we can. Of course, we're going to take action. We're not just going to sit at home, wait for something to drop in our lap. Maybe we Google whatever we're going to do. It's all that matter. It comes down to believing in ourselves, and you believing in him is going to help for sure, Kate. So we want to make sure he starts to think about possibly all the skills he has, all the abilities he has, and how they might apply to other situations. And that will help build it up, okay? And I know you will encourage, and you'll also have to give him some space, because it's a big thing, right? When we're going to lose our jobs, it's a big thing. And it's scary because we don't know what's going to happen, but we do want to trust, okay? And recognizing that idea of facts versus fiction can help. So in this story, with that self-awareness, we can recognize the story and change it or let it go. Then we become deliberate in our responses. You'll notice that when you have a story, you feel small. You feel like you're being attacked. You might feel like you want to lash out, or you feel defensive. The facts can help you step back and be objective and non-reactive. Let's just go back to that story. Two people talking, they stop talking when you get close. Even if they were talking about you, you don't know if it's a good or bad thing. You don't know what they're saying. Okay? We make the story bigger in our heads, and that's when we feel badly. So when we recognize the facts, we can step back and just go, well, I don't know what they're talking about, and I refuse to believe it has something to do with me and me being a bad person, unlikable, etc., etc. When you do that, you're in your power. You're living with awareness, and you are responding intentionally. When you do that, that's where you're going to find more peace and joy. It's that idea from the 4 agreements. You don't have to take anything personally. Don't take anything personally. Just don't. You can choose not to. And when you do that, it makes room for the peace to come back in and the joy to come back in. When we start to recognize how many times we create a story and how the story is giving us pain, once we start recognizing that, then we can choose not to embrace it, own it, keep it. We don't have to do that. There are lots of other ways we can reinterpret situations and the meanings we give them. There's so many different ways we can do that. But we can't go over them tonight because I have so many other things to say, and I do want to chat with you all. But you can find more in my book, Courageously You. Okay, we want to do this. We want to explore who we are because it is courageous for us to do that. Okay, it is scary for us to look at ourselves sometimes because we have this fear of what we might find, that the parts of us that we want to ignore or deny, the worst parts of ourselves, we sometimes in the back of our mind think that's who we really are. You know, that you are a stupid person, you're not a kind person, you're unlovable, you're unworthy, you don't deserve to have a better life. Those little beliefs in the back of your head that can get bigger and bigger the more we think about them. And so it can be hard for us sometimes to explore our truth because we're afraid we're going to find out that's who we are. But that's not who we are at all. You know, we are really amazing and powerful. Every single person is amazing and powerful. Another idea, and I'm just going to pause for a second. Make sure you're on my page, Colleen Van Der Zijden, Medium and Empowerment Coach. I'm going to talk I got another little idea to go. It looks like it's too long though. Maybe I'll do it next week. Never mind. I'm going to do it next week because I want to talk to you guys instead. I'll just give you a heads up on what it's going to be. It's about non-attachment. So we're going to talk about that next week. It's too long. We'll just deal with it next week because I do want to answer your questions and see what's going on with you. And so what we want to do is, I'm going to go back to the power thing. I've been talking about this, I think, for 4 weeks, maybe, because it is so important that we recognize how powerful we are, because once we start to even consider the idea, our lives will change. They will absolutely change. And it's fun when you start recognizing that you don't have to put up with crap, that you are limitless, that you can change your beliefs and how you're responding to life. And if anybody wants to go deeper on that, check out my Courageously You coaching program. Starts in January. Early bird pricing through tomorrow because, you know, I messed up my dates. And along with that, that's a good point. Sorry, my guide started talking to me, got distracted. Along with that, I do want to mention that in case you weren't here when I mentioned it earlier, I'm going to teach a class in a couple weeks called Manifest an Amazing 2026. And if you think you would be interested in that, just write in the comments that you would be interested in something like that. It's going to help you get more clarity on what kind of life you want to have in 2026. You're going to learn some steps to claim your power. You're going to hear a couple ways or so about how to let go of those things that are in your way that seem to be blocking you. You're going to get a nice little workbook that you can fill out that is going to help you plan how you're going to go into 2026 and what you're going to live there. Live there? That's an interesting way to put that. How you're going to live in 2026. Because, right, remember this. You have the power to create the life of your dreams. Isn't it amazing how I harp on this over and over? And here's why. It is so important. It is so important. This is the key to having your best life. Being your true self. That is the key. You can start with the Manifest class. You can go to the Courageously You group, whatever you want to do. So many options here. So make sure you are on my page right now. Colleen Van Der Zijden, Medium and Empowerment Coach, because I am going to start answering your questions and giving little mini readings. And the trick to get my attention, for those of you who watched before, you got to say something that gets my attention. Don't just go, I want a reading, because I'll be like, it's not grabbing me. If you say, I don't know what's going on with this, my guide will go, talk there. Okay. Michelle, I would be interested. Things are rapidly changing for me. Michelle has a great point. She says, things have sped up in the last 2 weeks. Have you guys noticed that the energy is getting faster and faster? Have you noticed that you have an idea and all of a sudden, boom, you're off and running with it? Or something happens? Have you noticed? It is crazy out there. And this is the perfect time to harness that energy and create your amazing life in 2026. It's the perfect time. Okay, Lori, wish it was so easy to change. Oh, we got lots of things to talk about there, Lori, but I'm going to go back up here and see what Maria has. I can't figure out objectively who I am. That's interesting. I found out recently I'm on the spectrum. I have little clue on what direction to take, but have a PTA license and a bachelor's, yet still feel directionless, and I think I need to find the right path. Okay, one thing I always say, I'm just going to write down your name for a minute so I don't lose track. Once I start channeling you guys, my mind is all over the map. Just literally all over the map. So it is crazy out there, isn't it, Barb? Maria. Here's the thing, as humans, okay, and I'm sure other people are going to relate to this. As humans, we always want to know what's next. We want to know our next steps, right? And even better if somebody else tells us what our next steps are. Part of the energy we have in the world today is learning to trust ourselves, to listen to our inner guidance, to take action steps based on what feels right to us. Now, there's a difference between what feels right to us and what we think we should be doing. Thinking is leftover programming. We were taught to think everything through, figure it out, do a pros and cons list, right? And really what we want to do is develop our ability to feel inside that this answer feels right to me. I know this is right. You know, there's a certain feeling we get in our body, in our energy, when we have a yes answer or a no answer. There's a certain feeling we get. And the only way we're going to be able to decipher them is to pay attention. And that's where we get back to that check-in energy, where we want to check in and see what does feel right. And I mentioned this, I don't know, sometime this year, about when we get dressed in the morning, we automatically check in with ourselves. We just kind of do, okay, what feels right? What do I want to wear today? And we just do it. Same thing with eating, right? So we already have this ability to check in. The problem is when we get to bigger choices, bigger ideas, bigger decisions, that's when our mind goes back and forth because we don't want to make the wrong decision. I tell people if they're trying to figure out a decision, like they have to make a decision, don't make the decision. Unless you absolutely have to do it right now, don't make the decision. Just set it aside for now and let your mind work it out in the background without you trying to help. That really makes a big difference. So we set it back there. And then as we're doing that, we free up our mind and we don't have to think about it anymore, because how many times do we feel like we have to figure it out? So here, back to Maria. Sorry, Maria, I went on a little side adventure. When we're wanting to find out who we are, it's not necessarily what we do, but how we live. What kind of person are we? What qualities are most important to us? And I know, Maria, and I see you wrote down that you found out recently you're on the spectrum. That even being said, I know that you're the kind of person who probably has tried hard to do the right thing through your life. You have probably felt a little bit of self-pressure or maybe other pressure to choose wisely, you know, to do the right thing, whatever that might be. And for you, it may be even more important than anything to decide how to check in more with how you feel, right? Like what feels right. Even though you're saying that you're on the spectrum, I'm feeling that you also have some good intuitive abilities, that you do have moments where you're feeling intuition. Okay, those are the kind of feelings that could be fun to play with, but also that idea of just kind of checking in. What would be fun today? I say this all the time. When people don't know what to do next, Just go do something fun. Go do something you enjoy. Go do something that's satisfying, that's meaningful to you, whatever it is. Okay, paint a picture, take a walk, whatever it is. And the reason I'm emphasizing this so much, particularly in 2025, it seems, is because when you do something fun, something you enjoy, you shift your energy. And when you shift your energy, the answers pop into your head. When we're thinking about what the right path is, it's like we push the answers away. But if you decide to go take a walk for a half hour, or you decide to paint a picture, or whatever, clean the house, the answer may very well just pop in when you least expect it. So that's my suggestion for you, Maria. I was kind of all over the map because there was all sorts of things popping into my head. But there is that. I would let go of finding the right path and trusting that the right path is going to come to you. I know we hate that answer, don't we? Humans, we hate that answer, right? We hate it. But this is what the energy is teaching us. How to trust the path, how to feel the answers. That's what it's teaching us. And that applies to everybody, not just Maria, okay? Let's see. Lori, wish it was so easy to change. Now, here's the thing. It sounds, here's part of the reason I'm doing the Manifest Your Amazing Life in 2026 class, is because so many people, we set our New Year's resolutions, right? And we don't pick one thing. We pick like 5. I'm going to lose 40 pounds in a week. You know, I mean, just like, it's like wishful thinking, not based in any real connection to what we really want. So to make a change, all we have to do is like a micro change. I wonder if that's a phrase somewhere. A micro change, one small change. One small change changes everything. Humans, we think it's got to be so much. I've got to figure this out. I got to know that. I got to do this. I got to do that. So for Maria, who I was just talking to, I would tell her to really focus on how she feels. How is she feeling? Do I want to eat this food? Do I not want to eat this food? What do I want to wear? What do I want to do next? What would be fun? What would feel good? That kind of thing. That's one thing. Feeling. Okay, so easy to change. Sometimes we have people around us who are not open to us changing, which can be quite difficult if we have been people pleasers or have spent our whole lives taking care of other people, making sure they're okay, and not taking care of ourselves as much. It can be harder. So then that change there is going to go back to almost exactly what I told Maria. We've got to check in with ourselves and what feels right to us. So important. And then pick one thing, right? This is where it is helpful to have a coach or a guide or something to give you suggestions. You know, like when I'm coaching people, we usually do something for a week, an idea for a week. Then the following week we see how it went, and then we either continue that maybe with a nuanced version, or we have a new action step, whatever it might be. So really, one change. One small change. You'll know it's the right change because it will feel right. Everybody's like, you know. Oh, you guys, Jade and Ashley, what is my inner power? Let me, I'm just going to jot that down for a minute, but I like inner power. I love that though. Okay, hold on, just write it down so I don't forget. Alyssa, what are your thoughts on intentionally not setting intentions for the coming year when you experience a lot of awakening and growth and don't want to limit what's to come next? Oh, what a great question. Okay, right up my alley, Alyssa. You probably know that I am very big on intentions. People on my mailing list get an Intention Tuesday email every week about, tells a little story, and today's was I deserve good things. And here's my thing. There's a difference between an intention and a resolution. Okay, intentions are when we identify something we want, and I'm going to explain that further in a minute, and we attach the feeling that goes with it. Okay, now what I would do, instead of, I usually do like 2 intentions, okay? I will do one like a physical intention. I want to create, maybe I'm going to write a new book. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually creating a new program. So I'm going to create a new program for 2026. I almost said 2027. I got a year ahead of myself. 2026. So I do that. But my big intention is, how do I want to feel in 2026? What am I wanting to feel? So what quality might I have that I want to have more of? So if you're experiencing a lot of awakening and growth, you might want to set an intention to trust the process. I trust I'll be guided. I trust I'll be shown. I trust I'll be led. You might want to do that. You might want to set an intention for more love. 2026 is the year of love. Okay, you're going to love yourself. You're going to love other people. Then, of course, you've got to figure out, what that looks like, right? What does it look like? And that's for the manifest class. But there's that. I like to set an intention that way because when we have an intention that is emphasizing something, a quality within ourselves or a feeling we want to have more of, it guides us as we make our choices. So another one might be, I am open. Okay, you're open to experience an awakening and growth. Anytime you set an intention like that, you will not limit yourself because you will get experiences, opportunities that will come to you where you can use whatever your intention is. I jokingly talk about a time I was in church and they, on New Year's, would do a bowl burning ceremony where you'd write down what you're releasing and you'd write down what you want to bring into your life. And I overheard somebody one year say, last year, I said I wanted more patience. And she said, I'm never doing it again because I had so many things happen that I had to choose patience. It was really hard. And so we want to recognize that whatever we choose is going to bring us opportunities to practice it. So if you want love, more love in your life, you might experience a couple people here and there who aren't very loving. Or maybe you'll see you're not very loving for a moment or two, whatever it might be. That all being said, every time you step into whatever it is you're intending, your power gets stronger. And then you can go deeper and deeper, closer and closer to living as your soul. Okay, I should stop talking on that. So that won't limit it. You might also say, I am limitless. You could do that too. I am limitless and see where that goes. Sometimes I think we set our intentions or whatever's and we don't stay with them long enough to get full, deep learning. So I really like that idea. Okay. Just telling everybody, if you're on Lily Dale's page and you want to ask a question, make a comment, you need to be over here on my page, Colleen Vanderzijn, medium and empowerment coach. Let's see. Catherine, I am in metamorphosis. Ooh, what a great word. I would love clarity on moving through it most effectively. Oh, Catherine, I got such a good feeling with that. Of course, we think of metamorphosis, we always think of butterflies, don't we? And the freedom the butterflies have and their evolution and where they are and how they're reborn, and if you will, right? I would suggest, Catherine, anticipating. I just wrote about this a week or two ago in my newsletter. I have been using this one a lot. I like setting an intention in the morning, but I'm finding I'm liking an anticipation intention lately. And an anticipation intention is, what am I anticipating today? Before I get out of bed, what am I going to anticipate today? Is it that I'm going to, work on a project? Is it that I'm going to take a walk? Maybe I'm going to cook something special. Unlikely, but it could happen. Whatever it is, what am I anticipating? What I found when I do this, I look at what I have planned for my day, and it changes how I feel about what's going to be happening. I am really emphasizing feelings today. Yeah, so it changes how I feel about that. And then what also comes with this is we start anticipating all of the really cool things that are going to come to us. So I would focus on anticipation and just kind of go, okay, right? Sometimes we're in metamorphosis. Things happen. I mean, when we are evolving, changing, becoming our soul, living more as our soul, we are human. So whether we're doing that or not, we are going to have moments that are challenging and that are hard. And we have to just stay the course to the best of our abilities. That doesn't mean we're not going to have a side adventure and learn other things over there. I believe that every path we're on is the right path because we're learning what we're supposed to learn so we can get to the next part of our lives. That there are no wrong paths. Even the worst things that have ever happened, that's not a wrong path. That's my belief system. Do with that what you want. It helps me handle whatever's happening. If something happens and I don't like it, it's like, okay, well, what am I learning because of this? Maybe this is the only way I could have learned this about myself. So sometimes we have issues, right? But remember, everything you're experiencing is leading you to living as your soul. Every single thing. Everything is an opportunity. Okay, I think I have over and over explained that. Yes, that sounds like me, a heavy moral compass. Good, Maria. Perfect. You are welcome, Maria. Okay, I got to go back to the inner power for Jade and Ashley and anybody else. You always want to know what your inner power is, right? And part of it is our human nature. It's kind of like when we're trying to figure out our purpose, right? What's my purpose? Human nature is, what am I supposed to be doing? How am I supposed to be making a difference in this world? How am I supposed to be doing this? How do I live my purpose? And as I alluded to earlier, our purpose is not necessarily what we do, but who we are, what kind of person we are. Now, I'm a teacher. I love teaching. Teaching to me is like, I don't know. I just love it so much, right? So teaching is part of my purpose. Okay, so who I am is a teacher. I like guiding other people. I like encouraging other people. And because I can see people for who they really are, I have the gift of seeing people's souls. I can tell who you are, how you're limitless, and all of that stuff. And so I can help people in that way and express my soul wanting to help by being a teacher. I can also express my soul wanting to help by doing any other job, and I can still help other people. So it's not necessarily what I'm doing, but how I'm doing it, what my motivation is, what my root motivation is for this. So when we talk about our inner power or our purpose, what we want to do for our inner power particularly, think about what you're really good at, what you enjoy doing, what is fun for you to do. In the business world, they always say, what would you do even if you weren't getting paid for it, right? You love it so much, it's your passion, you do it even if you weren't getting paid for it. So that will lead you to what your inner power is, right? And sometimes, when I do the soul readings, I'll say, oh, you're a connector. You're a person that connects people together. Or you have such a sensitive nature, and you use that to read other people because you have so much empathy or whatever it might be. So I'm not going to tell you what your inner power is, Jade or Ashley, because this feels, I know, that it's something about you kind of going, And usually our inner power is something we dismiss because we've always been like that. Right? Which when we think about it, it's like, what do you mean? Because we have it, we do it, we don't think it's special. We don't think it's an inner power. It's kind of like when my daughter was going to college. She couldn't figure out what to do. She has been writing her whole life, like writing books, stories, all this stuff, her whole life. She gets to college, I'm not sure what to do. And I'm like, maybe you should do something with writing, right? Because, that's something you do. She was kind of hesitant until she realized this is what she's always done, and she really enjoyed it. Music is one of my things, right? Right? I'm a musician forever, and music is amazing, right? So that something like that could call you, spread joy through that. So there's lots of things. So if you're wondering about your inner power, think about something you do that you really love doing and that you're good at, and where your inner critic immediately goes, oh, well, that's not so special. It's probably related to that. That'll be fun to explore, won't it? Okay. Let me see what else I have. Stacy, my partner and I recently moved from Niagara Falls to Alberta. It was a stressful move, and I've been having a difficult time with it all. I'm not sure if this was the right decision. I don't know anyone here. I don't have work yet. I'm feeling pretty low about myself. I feel like I am in fight or flight. My nervous system is vibrating. I feel lost. This isn't who I am. My God, that sounds like an advertisement for my Courageously You program. I'm not telling you to sign up. I'm just telling you that's what I write on my page. Okay. Now, here's the thing, Stacy. It's really hard. Moving, that's hard. And if you don't know anybody, you don't have a job yet, of course you are going to feel lost. Of course you're not going to feel like yourself because you're moving into a new version of yourself. Okay, you don't know who that is yet. So now, you're not going to like my answer, but right at this moment, you're going to do two things. One, you're going to give yourself grace. You're just going to go, this is how I'm feeling, and that's the way it is. Okay? And don't emphasize it. Don't keep telling yourself the story. Don't get stuck there. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't feel like myself. Because that only makes it worse. You know that, right? So you don't want to do that. So you're just going to acknowledge it. This is where I am right now. This is how I'm feeling. And don't feed it and make it stronger. The next thing you're going to do is you are going to consciously, intentionally trust. Trust. You're just going to trust. Our human side wants to know if it's the right decision. Okay? Right? That's what we do as humans. Our soul goes, okay, this is a new adventure. Let's see what happens. And it's going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes our best growth comes out of being uncomfortable. We hate it. We hate it. We dislike it. We have a stars party started. So you have been challenged by Facebook to send stars in the next 5 minutes. Blah, blah, blah. There you go. So Stacy, it's okay to feel lost. It's okay to not feel like yourself. You just went through a really big move. Like, it's okay. It's okay. And so give yourself that grace. Trust that it's going to be coming. And in the meantime, do what I said earlier. Find things to have fun with. Find things to have fun. Don't put it off till later. Don't think you have to do these things first. Just do something fun. Maybe it's explore the area. See what's there. Right? It'll give you something to do. And that might help you feel better too. I know, right? Yeah. I actually do feel, Stacy, I'm just going to give you a little bit of an intuitive hit here for you. I actually feel like this was actually a good move. And I also feel like you're going to really enjoy being there. Okay. It feels like you're going to have some really good connections there. So if that gives you a little reassurance. So many things. You're welcome, Lori. I love when I show up just when it's supposed to, Jackie. Oh, Connie. I want my sister to admit she was blind to what was going on in her husband's brain, and then maybe her and I can have peace. Oh, Connie. You have watched me a lot, haven't you? You've got to know what I'm going to say right now. Let her believe whatever she believes. Don't want her to believe something else. Don't try to convince her to look at it differently. Just don't. It's the let them theory, right? All spiritual teachers have been saying this for years. Other people are who they are. Let's not try to control them. What if she said, well, I want you to admit that this was happening, and then we're going to have peace? You wouldn't like that. She won't like that either. So what you're going to do, Connie, you're going to just ignore it. You're going to stop thinking about it. If she was blind to what was going on in her husband's brain, she was blind to it. Maybe she couldn't face it. Maybe it was too hard for her. Maybe it was that denial was there. Maybe she was too scared. Whatever the reasons were for how you think she may have been blind to what was going on, it's really not important. Okay, it's not important to you. It's her life. She gets to decide how she's going to live it, right? Okay, so what you can do, rather than trying to convince her of something, because that's only creating more discord. Oh, we don't want that. Is just accept it. It's just the way it is. Okay? It's just the way it is. And you're just going to support her, and you're just going to be there, and you're just going to love her. We all don't have to agree in order to love each other. Okay? That's so important. Okay? This is using your power to create more peace in the world. More peace, more kindness. Jackie, struggling to support my daughter with anxiety. This has been tough for all of us to navigate. Any guidance or insight would be wonderful. Yeah, anxiety is a tricky one, isn't it? Because our human part is like, well, I don't know why you're anxious over that. I don't understand what the problem is. And really what they need is just somebody going, I understand. That's really what they need. And so much of anxiety is worrying over the future. Right? We're worrying over the unknown. We're worrying over what could happen, what might happen. And so a technique that can be very helpful is to come back to the present moment. Okay. And I do that. If I get caught in anxiety over something, I bring myself back to the present. And what I do first is I do deep breathing, and I count my breaths, and I feel the breath going in and out of my body. Simple, easy to do. I usually do 11 breaths just because I picked that random number years ago and it seems to work. And so that helps me get back in my body. Another thing that is highly effective for getting out of the head, because really we're stuck in the head, right, is to I call it surroundings meditation. And I've talked about this a bit. So for those of you who heard it, it's a good reminder. If you're feeling stuck up here and you can't get out of it, you're just overwhelmed with whatever, you describe the surroundings you have. Okay, so I sit here, I'm in my office upstairs, and I'm looking over there, and I see a statue of a seahorse, and I describe it, and I go, okay, it's got brown on it, and there's some white on the edges. It's framed against a light, I think this is a light blue wall, sitting on top of a brown shelf, and then you just describe all these things, and you keep doing it until you feel better. Okay, so those are a couple of techniques that can help her get back into her body because she's stuck in her head in anxiety. That helps a lot. Oh, one more. I got to tell you one more because it popped in my head. Another thing that is really helpful is to think about somebody you love. Okay. So for her, whoever she loves, right? You, your dog, whatever. And you think about that, and then you really feel that feeling. You feel that love. You feel that energy. And what that does is it relaxes the energy and it expands the energy out of the head again, right? It gets out of the head again. So then you breathe in those good feelings, grounds us, centers us, gets back in. What happens is it will help us transcend the anxiety. Okay, so anytime I start to feel anxious, I come back to that feeling. So I'm shifting my energy intentionally. That can help. So 3 strategies apparently. And that will also help you too, because if you start getting anxious about her anxiety, these can help you get back in. And that will help. And part of it, you'll have to let me know if this is true. She feels very creative to me. There's a lot of creative energy with her. There's a lot of sensitivity energy with her. I feel like she is very sensitive. And part of her concerns may be that life feels very overwhelming and too much for her. So it's okay for her to kind of withdraw a little bit. And I don't mean hide in a room all day. I mean, if something feels overwhelming, to not do it or figure out how to keep her energy up before she goes and does it. I guess I could talk about this all night. I better stop though. But anyway, her sensitivity is probably part of it. So as she tries some of these suggestions, maybe if she will, that will help her get back in her power, and she's going to feel like she has actual strategies that will help her handle whatever's going on. Interesting. Anxiety is something. Thank you, you guys. Alyssa and Catherine. There's so many things. Shayna, yes, believing it's meant to be that way. We need something to take something from our experiences. It's all happening as it should. We just try to control. And I can tell you that last night we got done decorating the tree. We were almost totally done, and the darn thing fell over. I was like, no, I had forgotten to tie it to the wall just in case it was going to fall over. And Greg goes, oh, it's meant to be, because he knows I'm always saying that. And I'm like, shut up. But anyway, right? I learned a lot again. So there's that. Kathy, thank you. She says, I highly recommend the Courageously You program. I took it. It helped tremendously. Thank you. And Ashley says, it changed my life. Good. Stacy says, thank you so much. Today was a bit of a shift. I did some automatic writing and a sacred fire. Yay! Part of it was to fully trust. Perfect. Also, it aligns with what I was saying to you. I love this. Absolutely, Jackie. Okay. Oh my gosh, I talk so much. So next week we'll talk about the thing I didn't talk about. And then we'll do more of this if you want to do more of this. And just a reminder, Courageously You coaching program, still have room. Early bird pricing through tomorrow. It's going to be a course with personal coaching. It'll be this, but I'll teach some things, and we'll chat, and we'll have action steps so that you can get in your power. Usually by the 3rd session, it is an 8-week program. Usually by the 3rd session, people are like, oh, this is amazing. And I'm not saying that because I'm like making stuff up. It's true, okay? If you know me, if you've seen me, you know how much I love teaching and helping people. Okay, this is who I am. What you see is who I am, okay? And so I'm not like, all ego. That's not the thing. Okay. And so, so the other thing is manifest your amazing life in 2026. If you're interested in that, just write it down, and I'll be sure to get you the link. It's good. I gotta just get it all organized because it just popped into my head at 3:00 this morning to do it. So I'm not quite ready to send it out to people, but I will be tomorrow. And really so inexpensive because why, right? Might as well. Inexpensive. What else do I have to tell you? Anything else? I think that's all. And so, don't forget the freebie up at the top, the soul intentions, empowering intentions to help you trust your soul. It's right up at the top. The link is right there. Maybe when I get off, I'll do what I did last week and just post some links for you because I just love talking to you guys and I love giving you things that will help you. Or else I would not be doing these radio shows for free. This is my 219th radio show for Lilydale, by the way, and it's about my 450th overall between all the stations I've been on. So anyway, I want to thank you so much for joining me. Next week, we will talk about this other thing that will help you stay in your power and help you feel so much better. And there we are. So you guys have so much fun, and I will see you soon. Bye.